So what is bankruptcy, and how can bankruptcy help consumers restart their financial futures? Hi, I'm attorney Sean Mays. I'm streaming to you live today, and I'm just going to start talking about a little bit about the basics of what a bankruptcy is and how a bankruptcy can help people restart their financial lives. Hi, so if we haven't met before, my name is Sean Mays. I'm an attorney with the Mays Law Firm. I'm a consumer attorney in Pennsylvania, and I help people deal with debt and debt-related issues like mortgage foreclosures, garnishments, repossessions, and bankruptcy. Today, I want to just talk a little bit about what a bankruptcy is and the common types of consumer bankruptcy and how a bankruptcy might be able to help consumers in Pennsylvania restart and rebuild their financial lives. So, the simplest answer to what a bankruptcy is it is a court proceeding, and the purpose of that proceeding is to eliminate or reorganize debt. That's a really simplistic overview of what a bankruptcy is, but that is the entire purpose of a bankruptcy. It's to eliminate debt so that you can restart your lives. In general, in consumer bankruptcies, when we're talking about consumer debt as opposed to business debt, there are two principal types of bankruptcy. There's a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is sometimes referred to as a liquidation or a straight bankruptcy. And there's a Chapter 13, which is also sometimes referred to as a reorganization or a wage earners bankruptcy. One thing that both bankruptcies have in common is something we call the automatic stay. So the automatic stay is a super powerful tool that helps give debtors in bankruptcy some breathing room. And what it is an order that is entered when a bankruptcy case is filed, and it stops all debt collectors in their tracks. So if you are facing a foreclosure, a repossession, a garnishment, an eviction, if the utility companies are threatening to shut off your utilities, once the order is entered, putting the automatic stay in place, all of that has to stop. I mean, it really doesn't matter if you have a sheriff's sale scheduled of your home tomorrow. If you filed bankruptcy today and the automatic stay goes into effect today, that foreclosure sale can't go forward tomorrow. And that is why the automatic stay and why bankruptcy itself is a very powerful tool. It gives consumers breathing room and some time to organize their finances, proceed with their bankruptcy case, and get a fresh financial start that the bankruptcy law is intended to give consumers. So once the stay is in effect, once the consumer has a breathing room, the case proceeds. Now, as I mentioned before, there are two general types of bankruptcies for consumers, and the first is a Chapter 7. Now, really, the purpose of a Chapter 7 is to eliminate unsecured debt. A Chapter 7 does not do much for secured debt. And by secured debt, what I mean is a debt that has collateral. So a mortgage or a car loan where your car and home are a collateral for the loan, a Chapter 7 does not eliminate the liens, and it won't permanently save that property from either foreclosure or repossession if the payments are not made. Those liens, in essence, survive the bankruptcy. But what a Chapter 7 will do is eliminate unsecured debt. And that's really the power and the purpose behind a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So if you qualify for a Chapter 7, the way it works is your bankruptcy case is filed, the debt collection has to cease immediately, and a trustee is appointed to your case. A trustee will examine your case to see if you have any substantial non-exempt assets. And your assets, when you file bankruptcy, are divided into two categories. You have exempt assets, which are assets that you get to keep after your bankruptcy case is concluded. And there are non-exempt assets, and those are assets that a bankruptcy trustee might be able to take and use those to liquidate and pay creditors. So for most people, if you're filing a Chapter 7 case, you're going to have what's called a no asset case, and that means that all of your assets are exempt and you get to keep all of your assets after your bankruptcy case is over. And the reason for that is that under the federal law and under state laws, there are generous amounts of exemptions that allow you to keep all kinds of different property. For instance, you get to keep a certain amount of equity in a home. You get to keep equity in a car. certain amounts of personal property, furnishings. There's even a wild card that allows you to apply it to any kind of property that you want. So for instance, if you had money in a checking or savings account, you could apply that wildcard exemption to those bank accounts and keep the proceeds or keep the money that's in those accounts after you file bankruptcy. And so for most people that are considering the Chapter 7 and that qualify to file a Chapter 7, all of your property is generally exempt, and you get to eliminate all of your debt and keep all of your property even after your case is closed. If you have substantial non-exempt assets, or you make too much money to qualify for a Chapter 7, or if you have secured debts that you're trying to deal with, then you need to consider a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So as I mentioned earlier, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy is a reorganization, and what it allows you to do is eliminate unsecured debts like a Chapter 7, but also reorganize your secured debts by proposing a payment plan to catch up on missed payments on secured debts. So let me give you an example of how that would work. Hypothetically, let's say you were several months behind on mortgage payments and the mortgage lender is threatening to foreclose. Well, what a Chapter 13 would let you do is first get that automatic stay, which stops the foreclosure, and then file a plan with the court proposing to repay those missed payments over a period of anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Now, most banks won't typically give you forbearance terms allowing you to repay those missed payments over 3 to 5 years, but under the bankruptcy law, the creditor really doesn't have a choice. If you propose a payment plan that complies with all of the statutory requirements under the Bankruptcy Code, then the court will confirm that plan and it'll allow you to get back on your feet, catch up on those missed payments, and at the same time eliminate your unsecured debt. And that's a really powerful tool. It allows people who let's say, suffer a temporary hardship and facing a possible repossession or a foreclosure or a garnishment of certain assets. It allows you to really put the brakes on that and then get a little bit of breathing room and some time to catch up and repay and get back on your feet. Both a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13 also allow you to eliminate unsecured debt entirely. Now, there are certain types of debt we should mention that are not dischargeable that you just can't get rid of in bankruptcy. Those debts would include student loans, for instance. That's a real big one that a lot of people deal with. Criminal fines, restitution, most kind of tax debts. Tax debts, it's a little bit complicated. You can eliminate some income taxes, but for the most part, tax debts just survive bankruptcy and do not get discharged. And there's certain other categories of debts which do not get discharged, but in general, most unsecured debts would get eliminated in a bankruptcy proceeding. So I hope that answers some of your basic questions about what a bankruptcy case is. If you're curious about how a bankruptcy could help you in your specific situation, always, feel free to reach out to a bankruptcy attorney. Most offer free consultations. I know I offer free consultations at my firm and be glad to answer any questions that you may have about bankruptcy or about how it might help you get back on your financial fresh start there. Once again, so my name is Sean Mays, and if you have any questions or comments, you want to leave those below in this video, feel free. But hey, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.